but in both of the cases, we are delivering energy cost reduction. So today we are going to see the journey of 10 to 30% of electricity and fuel cost, how it can be achieved, what all options are there with us, and what all can be done. Let us see all that. So let's see, are we on the problem side or on the solution side? So the problems are, first of all, there is difficulty in understanding the electricity bill, particularly for LT customers, right? LT2 and LT3 category of customers. We have found that people are not able to even understand the bills, despite they are paying the bills from 10 years, 20 years, or even 30 years, right? Everybody has understood that the tariff is growing faster, right? Everyone has understood that solar PV can reduce their energy cost. Everybody has understood that solar hot water systems can reduce their energy cost. And as far as energy efficient technology is concerned, that is LED. That is also understood by everyone, right? Then, however, existing technologies are getting older and older, right? And older technology definitely means higher energy consumption. We have seen that with the era of Fiat and Ambassador, right? And how that 10 to 12 kilometer per liter of average what we used to get and what we get it in current cars, right? Almost 15, 20 or even 24 kilometers per liter, right? So that is the technology development that has happened in every field, not only in LED and not only in cars. This is what we will see today, right? Business competition is going high and high, which is demanding cost reduction, right? And fundamentally, the utilities means the compressed air or the thermic fluid heater or the air conditioning, that is all continuous, right? Whereas their consumption in the processes is actually the batch wise, right? So that is where we see a lot of saving potential in particularly in manufacturing systems, right? Then end of the day, all these kind of things are actually leading to higher electricity consumption and higher fuel bill, right? Whereas what are the solutions? Let's see them, right? So in solution, we see that there are fast paced development of energy efficient technologies. Believe me, number of energy efficient technologies are as high as we see the medicines in the medical shop, right? But finally, our doctor gives us a few one, right? And that we take it and then we get right. So same is the story for energy efficiency as well, right? We need to select the right technology which is needed and then implement it and then get our electricity bill saved. As far as heating is concerned, particularly in manufacturing operations in industry, there are lots of fuel shift options are there, right? Like earlier era, we have seen that whosoever is driving their car for a larger distance is opting for a diesel fuel, right? So in this parameter, what happens is the heating load can be obtained from so many types of fuels. And here, shifting to cheaper fuel option actually gives a lot more savings. We'll see projects with that as well, right? So energy efficiency, friends, is one of the best ROI opportunity. ROI means return on investment, right? Whatever we are investing, actually, energy efficiency is a field which pays us back, right? Energy efficiency payback is just 2 years or less than 2 years, right? Whereas solar photovoltaic is 3 to 5 years, right? Unfortunately, energy efficient technologies are not well known still, despite the field being as old as 30, 40 years. But understanding of the energy efficient technologies is really rare. So we have decided that every Tuesday, same time, we'll be coming and we will be sharing several case studies and several past work that we have done. Then nowadays, finance is available to implement energy efficiency project, wherein the savings can be higher than your actually monthly EMI. So actually, it can be a net positive cash flow for you, right? So whatever things which I am discussing right now in a small one line kind of thing, there is going to be one detailed session on each one of them, right? So as I discussed earlier, that the utilities like, for example, chiller, compressed air, boiler, thermic fluid heater, I'm talking about manufacturing process, they are basically continuous utilities. However, their consumption is batch because manufacturing processes in many of the units, right, or many of the type of industries is actually batch processes. So that's where we get lot of saving opportunities, right? And in today's world, it is very much possible to deliver and achieve at least 10 to 30% savings through energy efficiency project with 1 to 2 years of payback period, right? Let me see how it is. So friends, let us begin with the first thing. The first thing is how to read our own electricity bill, right? Residential electricity bill, though it is easier to read, but that is also not properly understood because it has different slabs for different levels of consumption, right? So accordingly, you have to plan it, right? But when you go to particularly manufacturing side, and then you see LT1, LT2, and LT3 types of loads, believe me, I have not seen right understanding of electricity bill across segment, be it commercial building, be it manufacturing unit, be it shopping mall. The electricity bill, how the electricity bill is actually prepared, that is not understood, right? So let us see what are all those things which we have to see in our electricity bill, right? You can go for HT or LT connection, right? But if your load is high than a particular value, then and only then you should go for HT. Otherwise, you should be LT, right? I have seen number of cases wherein this decision has gone wrong, right? Most of the time, we are dependent, right? We are just given that you need HT connection or you need LT connection. We don't do our own analysis. We don't do our own understanding. And it's not very difficult. It can be done, in fact, right? Then when it comes to HT or LT, there are several tariff types, right? We all recall when the mobile telephone came, right? We were all worried about our tariff, right? It should not be the costlier one. And each one of us used to get the right tariff plan. But are we doing that for our electricity bill also? It's important. It should be done, right? Then in your electricity bill, there are two parts in the tariff. One is the consumption and one is your demand. So whether your contract demand or sanction load, is it right? That is to be checked. Is your power factor right? Is your load factor right? Are you utilizing time of day properly, right? And the last one is that, are you making payment in time to avail the discount, right? So these are the 7 opportunities which are existing in your own electricity bill. So friends, take enough care of it, right? So that the first part, right, it has got, this first part has got nothing to do with the energy consumption side or how you are actually consuming energy, but how you have contracted for your electricity bill with the utility, that is MSEDCL. That is what matters here, right? So we have requested in our program flyer that please be with your electricity bill, and you can see your electricity bill, all these 7 points, and you can try to understand whether you are on the right side or you are not on the right side, right? And if at all you need our help, right, you can send your bill on WhatsApp to me, or you can send it through email to me, right? It's your choice. You'll get a response. So let's move further. Let's see how to read an electricity bill, right? In electricity bill, if you see, you'll find that at least there are 100 text or 100 items which are there, right? Apart from your history of 12 months. Earlier, it used to be 11 months, but now you get actually 12 months, right? So today, time is not there to go in depth. Today is a very introductory kind of session, but definitely we are going to get a feel of everything, right? So here you see that it's a industrial tariff of a HT tariff. So here you get the, you can see my cursor, right? HT1A. So this is one of the tariff category. So that is the tariff, right? Then you see sanction load is 985 kilowatt, right? And according to that, the connected load is also taken as 985 kilowatt, right? The contract demand, this is the actual contract demand on which your bill is made, right? So this is 657 kilowatt, right? Now the minimum billing, the earlier rule was 50%, right? Then it became 55%, and every year MSEDCL is increasing it, and now it has become 60%. You can see here very clearly 60%. So whether you consume or not, right, you will have to pay for 394 kVA, right? So this 394, where from it comes? It is actually 60% of 657, right? So that is how. Now you see here that this particular company is paying the 60% of contract demand, whereas their actual consumption is less, right? This is till April. It was till March. It was basically 55. So according to that, they were paying 361, and now they are paying 60%. So that is 394, right? So you see that this fixed charge is unnecessarily they are paying high, and now you see the actual consumption. The actual consumption is only 245, 246, right? Whereas they are paying for 60% of the contract demand, which is 394, right? The power factor is all right here. Okay. Load factor is only 19, so they cannot get load factor benefit. Load factor benefit is possible only for continuous process industry, 24 hours, 365 days running kind of setup, right? Like for example, steel MS billet melting units, right? Or a chemical process plant, right? So there they can get load factor incentives also, right? So here you see that unnecessarily they are paying high demand. So if you divide the total amount by the number of units consumed, you'll find that their actual tariff is coming out to be very, very high, right? And gone are old days when the changing the demand was very difficult in MSCDCL. Now the processes are very clear, right? If our actual demand is less, they will have to agree to it, right? I'm not saying it is easy, right? But there is nothing which is easy, right? In this world, right? We will have to get it. Let's see the second case. So here the bill amount is coming high because of the higher contract demand. This contract demand can be suitably lowered, right? So that one can pay on the actual one. Let's see the next case, right? So in next case, we see that the contract demand is high, right? I'm taking only the second page of the bill, right, to save the time, right? And also see the lower power factor, right? Here you see the power factor is only 0.61, right? Whereas the bill demand is 18, whereas actual consumption, right, is hardly there, right? So what is the solution? They should reduce their contract demand and they should also improve their power factor so that power factor penalty will not be there, right? So if you look at your bill, you will surely be able to at least find out what is wrong. How to do it? There is a separate method, there is a separate science behind it, there is a separate set of measures we have to take, separate method of applying is there for with the MSCDCL, right? But all that can be done. Even you can do it, right? It's not necessary that you have to look at for outside. But if you are not able to do it, right, we are there to help you out. Let's see further, right? Now, here the customer is having again the higher contract demand, right? And sorry, in this case they have a connection of less than 20 kilowatt, right? So less than 20 kilowatt, what happens is you don't have to take care of your power factor, right? Your power factor is not accounted for, right? And there is nothing in form of penalty, right? And there's nothing in form of excess demand, right? So first of all, for all the LT units, right, or all the MSME units, or all the shops, right, my very strong suggestion is there. It is possible to manage your overall unit in less than 20 kilowatt, right? So if you are in the less than 20 kilowatt category, you are actually getting the lowest tariff also, right? It's not easy, right? But we have seen that many of the units are unnecessarily in LT2 category, whereas they can manage it in LT1, right? So the message is, if you can manage overall operations in less than 20 kilowatt, so that is the best. Let's see some more. So here, before the situation and after the situation is what we are seeing. So these are basically the second page of the bill, before and after the implementation. So you see that the bill demand is 36, right? Whereas actual contract demand was low and they had to pay penalty for excess demand, right? So this is the other case. Your actual demand is high and whereas you have contracted for less, right? And whereas your power factor is also low. So you are paying a power factor penalty. So there were two activities involved. One is to increase the contract demand, right? And then you have to also increase the power factor, right? So after doing that, now you start getting incentives right here, and there are no additional charges for excess demand, right? So these kind of corrections, right, are something which are very much possible, and everybody should take care in their own electricity bills. Same case, let us see before and after, right? So here also you see that the power factor is low, and then the power factor is improved. So on one side, you are actually paying the penalty for power factor, whereas on the other side, you are actually getting the incentives, right? So there are numbers and numbers of cases, and I still feel very much surprised. The power factor issue, as I remember, was as old as 1998, right? And units are paying same kind of electricity bills, and they are not able to still understand that how much their actual demand should be, how much the power factor they should be maintaining it, right? So this is another case wherein the power factor is low and then it is maintained high, right? So this is the case of HT bill actually. In HT bill, we are finding this kind of thing. I mean, that's something very, very rare, right? But still, we see these kind of issues plenty. Let's see another case. So, I mean, there are numbers and numbers of cases which are there, which you can apply to reduce your energy cost very, very systematically and very, very perfectly, right? So, friends, you need to check. Again, I'm giving you the list, 7 items, 7 pointers, right? Wherein you need to take care of all these aspects. So, I repeat again, ensure that your decision to go for HT or LT is right. Okay, in that your tariff type is right. Okay, in that whatsoever contract demand you have done, right, is that right? Okay, then is your power factor right? Is your load factor right? Load factor is for continuous 365 days, 24 hours operation kind of units. Are you able to utilize time of day tariff? Time of day means that in the evening time the tariff is very high, right? So there are some loads which are to be run once in 24 hours. So can you shift those loads to night operations? So that is the lower tariff, right? And then make the payment in time, right? So that you get the discount. So this is important, right? So this is actually managing your electricity bill, right? Okay. Again, you can take down our numbers, right? Or email ID, right? Whichever way you want. If you feel that your electricity bill is to be looked upon by us, we will see and we will respond to you on that. Now let's move to the second side of it, that is your actual energy conservation or actual energy efficiency measures, right? So I have made a broad category of different kinds of loads, and on those loads we have done several energy conservation projects, right? So today we are just going to see those loads, and we will also see some glimpses of pictures, right, which in which the projects have been implemented and actual results have been achieved, right? So on the manufacturing side, we see there is enormous potential in terms of saving energy in electrical motors, right? Okay. We see that in air compressors also a lot of savings are possible. Cooling tower savings are possible. Pumps, chillers, hot air generator. You see, you name the utility and energy saving is possible in that utility, right? So list goes on, boilers, furnaces, everywhere there is saving potential that is possible. Now, this saving potential is fundamentally two types. One is that going for higher efficiency equipment itself, and second is improving the system efficiency, right? The system efficiency means your pump is having a particular efficiency, right? But how much water you actually need, right? And how much you are actually pumping, right? So you need to develop understanding for that. And then you have to supply as much water and at that head, right? At that pressure, right? Then ensure that your pump is operating at the best efficiency at the most optimum requirement. So this comes from the system efficiency side. So you have to do that as well, right? Then let's see on the commercial building side, which includes hotels, hospitals, IT buildings, and malls, right? So on the manufacturing industry side, we have seen that the understanding of electricity bill is up to the reasonable level, right? I have not seen a gross mistake of things there. But the moment we come to the commercial building side, right, we see huge mistakes in the electricity bill itself. And in the electricity bill itself, we get several saving opportunities, right? Then in buildings, air conditioning, which we popularly call as HVAC, that consumes almost 40% to 70% of electricity. So that provides a lot of saving opportunities, right? Then hot water generation, laundry, lighting, again motors, pumps, AHU fans, a lot of new technologies have come in all of them, and boilers as well, right? MSME units, here also we see that the same 7 pointers are quite wrongly used in the electricity bill. So there is a lot of scope that is available. Go for it, right? And for LT bills also, if KVH billing starts happening, then believe me, if you are not able to maintain your power factor, if your power factor is 0.95, that straightway means that your energy charges are more by 5%, right? So till now, only HT bills are converted to KVH billing, not the LT in Maharashtra, right? But things are improving, things are changing, right? So when the LT bill side will be subjected to the KVH billing, then you will have to maintain. I mean, even you will feel that if your PF is 0.99, which otherwise we call it as a very good PF, but 0.99 would also mean that your electricity bill is more by 1%, right? So here also you get a lot of opportunities in energy efficient motors, pumps, compressors, boilers, thermic fluid heaters, hot air generators, furnaces. Actually, in MSME units, even if they are smaller in size, but the kind of number of utilities are still same, as good as large scale units, right? Now let's come to the residence, right? In residence, we hardly see usage of duct coolers, right? These duct coolers can be very comfortably installed in your row house, or if you have a separate house. Only it cannot be done in case of flats, right? That easily, right? But in case of individual houses or row houses, it can be definitely done, right? We have done it I've done it personally in my home, right? We have installed a duct cooler at the rooftop, and then we have made a duct that goes to all the rooms, and with one cooler we maintain it, right? Your comfort level, you're blocking all the view in the summer from your window, right? That's not the case. And the kind of sound that it comes, right, from the window cooler, that's also you can completely avoid, and it works beautifully, right? And particularly in this COVID period, your 100% of the air which is getting replaced by evaporative cooling, that happens by the duct coolers, right, or by the evaporative air coolers. So that is what is the technology good from health point of view also. Lighting, definitely we all know. I hope everybody has converted it to LED, right? What I don't understand is that as lighting has gone to LED, fans have also gone to BLDC fans, that is brushless DC drive. I'm now talking about the residential fans, right? These fans consumes half of the energy. I mean, these are 30-watt fans, right? They give absolutely the same air, right? What is there in the normal fans, right? Of course, these fans would cost a bit higher, right? But if you calculate the actual energy cost consumed by a fan, and then you see the cost of the fan, right? Believe me, the fan's life is at least 15 years or 20 years, right? Or even in some of the cases, we have seen that the fans installed by father, even the son's generation is also getting older, but the fan is working perfectly, right? But that doesn't mean that you're actually incurring a very high energy cost on that front, right? So lots of energy conservation technologies or energy efficient technologies are still not known, right? Obviously, we should have solar water heater. Of course, solar PV is a very good solution for this case. But then it's not that we are installing solar PV and then we are having very high storage kind of solar water heaters, right? Because storage kind of solar water heaters would be consuming a lot of energy, right? And then in ACs, air conditioners also, inverter ACs give much better results. So friends, let's move further. It's very important to actually monitor the energy consumption, right? Earlier, the large industries used to monitor it. I have seen that the large industries started monitoring their energy consumption with uh, installed meters and getting the data into the computer. But today, the technology is available so that even the MSME units can afford these kind of technologies, right? And they can install their energy consumption, and energy consumption can be there to their cell phones, right? You see that the person is monitoring their energy consumption on their cell phone. We have developed this product, and this is very comfortable, right? Let's move further. So in this product, you can see that how much is your energy cost, and how much is your power factor, right? How much is your demand? Everything can be seen here perfectly, right? Then of course, even today, like the voltage imbalance gives lots of problem to the customer. So if these kind of systems are involved or installed and you are monitoring them, you'll be able to perfectly see that how much is your power factor. So anything and everything that you need to control your electricity bill, like for example, this is the power factor. You can see my mouse movement, right? Power factor is maintained at 1, so you can see that data on your cell phone for your unit, right? Because it's not that the one-time installed automatic power factor controller system and that will work good or proper forever, right? It has to be monitored very properly, right? So for example, if we have installed automatic power factor controller at our any of the customer, we get our customers data of power factor at our end, right? So even before our customer knows about it, we can take action and we can correct what has gone wrong with that particular system. So today, monitoring systems have really improved to that level, right? And it's not that these are the technologies only meant for large scale units. No, easily MSME units can also afford it. and use it. They are very simple to use it. So let's move next. So here are some of the energy conservation projects which I thought that I'll share with you, right? In engineering units or in foundries, a lot of energy is used in furnaces, right? So in this furnace, high emissivity paint was used, right, to reduce the surface losses. And this is actually implemented project and actually achieved result, right? And whatever amount which is invested, right, in implementing the project is paid back in 8 months, right? But it is not that everybody should be doing this in their furnaces, right? One has to really find out whether a particular technology has a saving potential in their particular system, yes or no. So that decision is very, very important. Let's see further. Servo motors are further advanced types of motors which can be used in PDC machines. I'm talking about die casting machines, right? We have done several such projects in Chennai, right, which are basically ancillary to the auto industry, right? And this servo motors, right, actually gives very good amount of savings, right? And you can see the savings and investment amount as well as the payback period, right? And actually making these kind of investments give you far better ROI, right, than any of the investments that normally we do, right? Of course, one can do energy efficiency investment as much as the scope is there, right? It is not possible to do unlimited investment there, but at least do those investments which are possible, right, to get that ROI for you. Let's see further, right? So this is a compressed air project installation of a variable frequency drive. See what happens as we discussed that the utilities are continuous, whereas the consumption is in batch kind of operation. But whereas compressor will keep on running. So what happens in this particular kind of case is compressor runs on a no load, right? And there is a lot of no load power consumption. In some of the cases, it is as high as 30 to 35% of their total consumption, right? So what happens is during buying, right, everybody takes care that there is enough saving potential. It should be there. I should not be buying a wrong equipment. So those kind of selections are happening, right? But what is happening is once you have installed a compressor, but your nature of the process is completely different. Your compressor requirement is not continuous. It is there in batches, right? And when it is there in batches, your compressor will go on no load, right? And when it is going on no load, right, even in that condition, it is consuming 30 to 35%, right? So you need to install a variable frequency on that. So on as your pressure is reaching towards your no load pressure to high load pressure, I mean your compressor will get on load or will get off load based on your pressure. So accordingly, this VFD actually changes your RPM of the motor, right? So this gives you significant savings, right? Again, this savings, these kind of projects are, it's not that every compressor should have VFD, right? If there is a scope for it, then one should always go for it, right? And this scope, we can understand that for how much of time our compressor is actually going on no load. Let's see further case. Today, the instrumentation is very well available, right? You can see that there is a thermal image that is captured for this particular furnace. And in this, we can see very clearly that the kind of insulation which has been provided has actually gone, right? And you can see very high temperature from different surfaces, right, on this. So with this kind of sophisticated instruments, you can actually see, like even when we get sick and we go to doctor is doing our x-rays, right? Doctor is doing our CT scan. So same thing is applied here. And then before and after, right, whosoever is carrying out your insulation should be proving you that, see, the surface temperature was earlier this and now it is this. And not just by measuring the surface thermocouple, applying surface thermocouple to get the temperature of the surface, but actually carrying out these kind of detailed x-rays before and after so that you get it right. Because if you do not get it right, what happens is you keep on losing your energy cost, right? And obviously, when so much of temperature is there on the metallic surface, your life of your furnace, right, or life of that metal sheet is also going to deteriorate, right? So getting to right energy efficiency is very much important, and it is very much possible. Let's see another case, right? See, motors, what happens is there are many plants in which motors are as old as 30 years old, 40 years old, right? Even 10 years old, right? Now the technology in motors have become highly energy efficient, right? Those who are associated and those who understand motors, right, they know that what is meaning of IE1, IE2, IE3, IE4, and IE5 motors, right? IE4, 5 motors are just coming into the market, right? But what we do is that we maintain a very strong relationship with all innovators, right? All higher and advanced energy efficient equipment manufacturers, right? Because what is our job? Our job is that a particular motor, if a 10 kilowatt motor, if it is drawing 8 kilowatt, right? So my job is meant for reducing that 8 kilowatt to 7 kilowatt or 7.5 kilowatt, right? That is what is our job, right? And we have to demonstrate this by actual measurement on the field, right? And this is how we do it, right? So you see here the old motor, right, is replaced by I4 motor, right? And we were hoping that we will be getting the savings around 15%, right? But we actually got a saving of around 23%, right? And here, this is the kilowatt consumption before, and this is the kilowatt consumption after, right? Okay. And this is the maximum kilowatt it has drawn in the before scenario and the after scenario, right? And the old motor was 3.7 kilowatt, and we have to go for, because it was underloaded, it was inefficient, it was rewounded, right? So scope for saving came from three sides. One is that the motor was oversized. Second was that the motor was continuously, multiple times rewinded, right? And motor was fundamentally of lower efficiency. So there were 3 pointers for us to work on this particular motor, right? So when we replaced it by 2.2 kilowatt motor, the results are in front of you, right? So when we carry out motor audits, we actually study all the motors involved, right, in a plant, and we are very confident that at least in 90% of the installations, right, or 90% of the factories or 90% of the facilities, right, when we work on motors, at least there 20 to 30% of the motors we can deliver them these kind of savings. And also the mechanism is actually to deliver the actual savings. If whatever is the committed saving, if we are not able to deliver that savings, we will be taking motor back. So that is the level of delivery that has improved these days, right? So it's not the case that you have to worry or bother that what if I am not going to get the savings, right? The savings completely, because motor power can be clearly measured and motor power can be clearly demonstrated. And all the energy conservation projects, I'm not saying for motors only, right, can be demonstrated that they can deliver energy savings like this, right? And this community is called as ESCOs, right, energy service company, right? Of course, they are essentially energy auditors, right? But energy auditors basically audit your facility, means they study the facility and then they give you recommendation. But ESCOs will not only give you recommendation, but whatsoever recommendation they have given, they will demonstrate you that much of savings on your shop floor, on your facility, on your installation. So this is what today technology has to offer to you, right? Let's move further and see. So these are some of the photographs of the projects which we have implemented, right? In chillers, there is an auto tube cleaning system, right? Because there is a dissolved solid and that gets deposited on the condenser tubes. So when we install auto tube condenser system on the chillers, right, it saves phenomenal, right? In our almost all the 15 Taj Hotel projects, we have done this project and we have got very good results. EC fans, this is a very upcoming project. We are coming up with EC fans, right, wherein the savings are of the order of 30 to 50%. Here, the energy efficiency is there in both of the forms. One is the motor efficiency we have seen in earlier case, and also the fans, right? Otherwise, if you see AHU fans you will be seeing it in the centrifugal format, right? This is basically the axial fan, right? Then we see heat pumps, right? Heat pumps, as compared to resistive heating, right, will give you phenomenal savings, right? But heat pump, if you install it with a water side, right, then what happens is you get chilled water also, and this chilled water actually reduces load on your actual chillers, right? So we very strongly recommend that whosoever is having water cooled chillers in their facility, they should not be going for air source heat pump. They should be going for water source heat pump, so that whatever is the cooling your heat pump has produced, that will give you additional savings in your chiller. Friends, we are going to discuss each of these projects and intricacies involved in coming up sessions, right? But today is an introductory session wherein I thought that I will give you an overall perspective of the field, right? Then there are IoT devices which are there, which are giving very good savings in chillers, right? Because what happens is the load on the building primarily comes from sun, and sun is not 24 hours same, right? Sun is not 365 days same. It is continuously varying. Whereas our chiller keeps on operating in most of the cases absolutely the same way, right? Then the occupancy in the building keeps varying, right? That also is second factor which affects the chiller operation. So this, we have seen that this kind of IoT devices have given phenomenal savings, right? Then evaporative condenser, this is a very new technology, and this is giving phenomenal savings in chillers, right? Then cooling towers. Cooling towers is unfortunately most neglected category in our plant, right? Hardly anybody goes there also to see that, right? But actually cooling tower is the one which is deciding how much of energy you are going to consume. Because if it is not cooling the water properly, so whatsoever water you are using it for cooling another equipment, right, that will be at a higher heat, right? This is a distributed steam generation project. This we have done it for laundry, right, in five-star hotels, right, wherein a lot of energy cost has been reduced, right. There was one facility which was facing huge amount of voltage fluctuation, even in current scenario wherein electricity is improving day by day, right. So here for the full load we installed servo stabilizer, right, but the results were fantastic, right. And the replacement of the old motor by energy efficient motor, we have just seen the example in detail, right. So this is again a snapshot of all the work, some of the work which we have done, right. So on the left hand side, these are the Taj hotels and the kind of savings we have delivered. We've identified the project, implemented them, and delivered actual savings. So actual savings at every installation has been more than 20%, and I'm talking about 20% in overall energy consumption, right, including the fuel cost as well, right. Then, and these heat pump projects were done at these hotels when the fuel diesel cost was around 50 rupees. Now the diesel cost is 100 rupees. I really surprised that why people are still using diesel when heat pump can be used, right? And it can give them substantial reduction in their energy cost, right? And here we see a table. In this table, you'll see that so many different technologies are there. I can't right now. I can't get into the details of that because we are coming close to our finishing time. And this is the type of industry wherein these kind of projects we have done, and this is the kind of savings which we have ourselves delivered to these units. And these are some of the photographs, right, of actual case where we have worked. Friends, the list of energy conservation technologies or energy conservation ideas or energy conservation projects are too many, right? So we also decided that or understood that we can't do justice with all, right? So we feel that something in the between bucket of around 25 to 30 technologies we will be working. But using these technologies, we should be able to actually deliver a very good reduction to energy cost to our customers. So that is our focus, right? Most of these technologies, I mean, we as a principle, we do not manufacture it ourselves, right? But something which is not there in the market and something which we can do better, only those things come with our name, right? Otherwise, all are from the very reputed manufacturers, right? So I thought that this is what I'll share with you all, right? Now, let me again brief the overall process. So how it is, first we have seen analysis of the electricity bills, right? Then what we have to do is that we have to monitor our energy consumption. This monitoring, we can do it on a daily basis, we can do it on a shift basis, or we can continuously do it by installing that Savit equipment, what we have seen there, right, wherein you can get the data on your mobile phone that how much is the actual load right now in your plant. So you can understand that very carefully, very clearly, right? Then you have to understand that how much of the energy is going where. So that particular exercise is called as energy balance, right? Because we have to save energy where it is going to get consumed most, right? Because there, if you are able to save even 4-5% also, but since overall percentage of the energy consumption is those equipment is 50-60%, so your ultimate benefit is very high, right? Unfortunately, what is happening is lighting load, right? In a manufacturing unit, if you see that there is hardly 5 to 7%, right? Or even in a commercial building also, wherein we see a lot of lighting, the actual lighting energy cost is hardly 8 to 10%. I'm talking about non-LED cases, right? But of course, it's good to do a lighting project, but lighting is just one of the case. As we have done lighting energy projects, same way we should be doing all other projects, right? Then we identify what are all those options which are applicable. It's not that we have a ready-made menu, right? And that in that menu we try to sell something to. We actually study the facility and then find out what is needed to reduce energy cost of this facility. Then we come up with various technological options. Then we find that which are all those technologies which are having higher ROI for a particular facility, and then we recommend those technologies to our customers, right? And not only recommendation but complete implementation and delivering the end result. So that's how it goes, right? So these are my contact details, right? You can send your bills, your connected load details, right? And you can get our first-hand inputs absolutely free of cost for that, right? Now we will be going to the question answers session. I request Kunal to read out those questions one by one, and then I'll be answering them. And friends, we'll be meeting every Tuesday. That is what we have decided. The same time, 4 to 4:45 p.m. So the next one will be on 5th October. Now I wait for the questions from Kunal.
Thank you, Milind sir. Like it was a great session. We have a few questions. The first questions which will is what is TOD in electricity bills and how we can get benefit of it. This is the first question. Yeah.
Sure, great. See, if you see the second side of your electricity bill, first of all, if you are a HT customer or a LT customer, then only then this TOD is applicable. If you are a residential customer, then the total electricity consumption, how much is your consumption, that is deciding your tariff value. As if you are consuming high, then you will be getting higher tariff. So same logic is there for time of day. The time of day, that is called as TOD. It's called as time of day, and this time of day tariff is there in your electricity bill second page, right? And for different time of day you have different tariff, particularly your night tariff, which is from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. is the lowest tariff rate. So that tariff rate is the lowest, right? Whereas in the evening 6 to 9 is the highest. So some of the loads are required for, let's say, 4 hours or 6 hours or 10 hours, right? So those loads, if you can run, if you are having a facility which can run for 24 hours, right? So you can shift those loads to those things, right? So that's how you can consume more electricity when your electricity is tariff is lower. So that is how the TOT benefit is to be taken by any unit. Yeah, next please, Kunal.
Yeah, sure. So the second question is, I'm presently working on a saving power for cold storage. There are 7 compressors, 75 kilowatt each. In summer, all 7 work. In winter, only 1 is required. Any suggestion how to save power?
Very, very interesting question. See, friends, we discussed that how we install facility, but based on the load, how much is the actual requirement at different point of time, right? Now, this facility is basically cold storage. So obviously during summer, the load is very, very high, right? And when the summer, the outside load is 45 degrees centigrade, right? And in the winter, when the outside load is thermal load is around 15 degrees centigrade to 20 degrees centigrade. So obviously you can see that only one compressor is sufficient. See, here in this case, if the water is available, right, and water is available in most of the cases, right, but there is hardly any trend of using water cooled system. The moment you go for a water cooled system in a cold storage unit, immediately you are going to save a lot, right? Earlier days, actually, ammonia based chillers were used most, right? And in all the ammonia based chillers, invariably you will find that they were water cooled, right? So the first thing, I don't know right now it is water cooled or not, right? So first thing I suggest that we should go for water cooled. Even if originally it is not water cooled, it can be retrofitted to a water cooled kind of a system. So that will give you phenomenal savings, right? And if we are not able to fully convert it, then there are ways to also reduce the ambient air temperature which is entering into your condenser, and reduce that temperature first, so that you can actually get the savings. So that is what is to be done. And third thing I will recommend is that let us get this unit properly audited, so that you can get the actual savings. Yeah, next one, please.
So the next question is how demand is recorded in the bill and how to control it.
Very good question. See, this demand is your any 30-minute kVA, right? See, first of all, let us understand what is power factor. Power factor is your actual load kilowatt divided by kVA. That is power factor in the simplest language, right? So this demand is actually 30-minute kVA in month for any 30-minute, and that too in a sliding window format, right? Whatsoever is the demand which is recorded, that is what you will be paying it for the full month, right? That is the concept, right? Any point you touch that, you cross that, you consume that, right? So that is why it is called as maximum. It's not just demand. The word is maximum demand, right? So maximum demand is your 30-minute kVA, the largest 30-minute kVA in the whole 30 days of the month, right? Now to control that, it is first of all required to understand that when is that I am crossing the demand, right? So that, because the demand will get crossed, right, and you will not be able to touch MSCDCL meter, and you can't understand that. Of course, if you are monitoring on a daily basis, every shift basis, so every 8 hours you are going to the meter, MSCDCL meter, and then, or utility meter, and you are seeing how much is the demand. So you will be largely able to understand that in this shift my demand has gone up, but not the exact moment. So for this, that Savit kind of monitoring systems are very, very useful. You need to install that so that you can pinpoint where and when my demand is going up. So that is the first step, you have to do that. And second thing is that the demand controller is a device, like for example, automatic power factor controller, which automatically connects and disconnects the capacitor. So same way, the maximum demand controller is actually connecting and disconnecting your loads, right? And these are those loads which are not going to affect your processes, manufacturing processes. So you have to figure out what is that load which you can cut it, right? So it senses that the demand is increasing, it senses that the demand is crossing, and then it automatically switches off that load for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. So by doing that, you can definitely reduce your maximum demand. And after reducing your maximum demand, again, you have to check whether your contract demand is right. And if you are finding any scope to reduce your contract demand, do that also. Yeah, next one, please.
Yeah. So we will take one more question because of time constraint. And rest remaining questions we will answer personally to the participant whomsoever is raised that question. So
Sure.
The last question is how PF is being measured and how it is calculated.
See, the easiest calculation is kilowatt divided by kVA. That is conceptually what power factor is. There is an electricity triangle, and cos phi of that angle is your power factor, right? So that is kilowatt divided by kVA, right? Now kilowatt and kVA are instant parameters. So you have to take it in terms of kVAH and kWh. So kWh divided by kVAH is your power factor, right? kWh is your first column on the second page. kVAH is your second column on the second page, right? But what is happening is that now we see the lagging kVAH and the leading kVAH. That is your third and fourth column on the second side of your electricity bill, right? So that is also nowadays incorporated into the power factor, right? But to understand it in a conceptual sense, kWh divided by kVAH is your power factor, and you are actually using automatic power factor controller, right, to see to it that your power factor is correct. It is not going on the lagging side, or it is also not going on the leading side. Yeah. So as this was the last question, believe me, friends, we will get back to you with your every question, right? Whosoever is having their query on their electricity bill or their connected load or anything, you can post it, right? You will get that feedback absolutely without any charges, right? And this is what I have thought that I'll be sharing it with the community, right? And every week, Tuesday 4 to 4:45 or 5 o'clock, I think we will have to have timing of 4 to 5 o'clock, right? 1 hour. right? And 1 hour we will share one of the area and we will get into it, right? And slowly as we move further, the depth will go up, right? But what is happening is the participants are coming from varied field, right? So we have to keep according to their varied interest as well. So great conversation with all of you. Thanks a lot for joining. See you next week, same time, same day.